Hello, Mike and Pierre.
Hey, Michael, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. So, apart from being good friends and good productivity geeks, right?
Yes, I take that as a compliment.
Right. I'm never offended. But apart from that, like we've shared our journey of using different productivity tools. You've been using Nozbe Personal. Now you've been using Nozbe Teams. But apart from that, we just like making things more productive and easier to like work, right?
We do. I just think it's one of those things where, I work in the nonprofit world. You can have a great mission statement, you can have a great work ethic, you can be a great public speaker. But if your day-to-day work isn't effective and efficient and productive, a lot of the rest of that can fall by the wayside. So, yeah, I mean, we are really passionate about productivity because it impacts every other part of our lives, which obviously is really important.
Yeah, I remember when I was involved in our local school, parents association, and some of the parents were complaining that, they're here pro bono, they're here voluntarily. And I said, yeah, that's great, but it's not an excuse to do a poor job. Like
Right.
we are not being paid for that, but we still have to do our job if we committed to it and we said we would do it.
Yeah, I had a boss one time. He said a lot of us suffer from nice guy syndrome,
Mhm.
where we say, well, they're a volunteer, or we're a church, a synagogue, a nonprofit, whatever, a soup kitchen, and we're just ho hum. We need their help, and we do need their help, but that doesn't take us off the hook from giving some feedback and setting an example. And I think a lot of us are just, we don't like to give hard feedback, or we're just a little bit afraid of what's the person going to say. I think the more we do that, the better. And we just sort of build that muscle of, I'm constantly giving people feedback. And I think too, setting the culture for an organization that we all get feedback. I
Mhm.
have, well, you're the owner of Nozbe, so I don't know if you get feedback, but I mean,
Yes.
I have bosses above me, and they give me feedback all the time. And sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's really direct, but we all get feedback. It's just part of trying to do a good job in whatever our role might be.
Just today, in our company, we had a retrospective, a marketing retrospective of our recent marketing activities. We were analyzing our, Black Friday promo and stuff, and we got lots of harsh feedback from our team, about many things that we did, like internally from our team, and it was really good feedback, like really constructive feedback. But some people from my team just took it really personally, and I did as well at some point. But then when you pass that, like when you so first you're like a little bit defensive because they're attacking what you did. But then when you start digging deeper, you're like, but they're right here. I should have done this better. I mean, here we could have done it differently. Like, and then you start like the moment you pass the defensiveness and the human reaction, and you
Yeah.
start being rational about it, you're like, there is lots to improve here. Yeah, they were right about these points. Like we did. Yes, we also have to acknowledge that we did this and this very, very well. But in these points, they're spot on. Like there are things that we still need to improve. And that's great.
Well, I think that's the power of something like a retrospective, is it's sort of like, let's give ourselves permission to say things that could feel a little awkward or could be hard, but this is the place where we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Or even saying something like, can I speak freely here and then go into it,
Yeah.
or can I say something that might feel a little bit off, but I want to say it in a spirit of, teamwork or charity or whatever. I think sometimes those little bridge statements, they just give people just a little window to say, okay, I can receive that. I might not like it, but I can receive it. And as long as it's done respectfully, I think it can produce great results. And we have to do these things because none of us see ourselves objectively. It's like, I mean, we look at a photo of ourselves and we say, oh my gosh, I put on a few pounds or I lost more hair or whatever. And day to day, you just don't see it. And so we need that feedback as difficult as it might be.
That's so true. So anyway, coming back to you, I haven't really properly introduced you, but I just wanted to just lean into this conversation just very naturally. So before you were involved so much in the nonprofit world, you were a manager basically of a high school, right?
I was a president of a
A
Catholic high
president. Yeah,
school.
that's yeah.
Yeah, in here in the United States, and my whole career has been in K to 12
Mhm.
faith-based education, and it concluded with 7 years as a president of a Catholic high school, and it was a, just a beautiful time, a wonderful season of life where we got to test out a lot of different productivity strategies and
Mhm.
protocols, and some of them worked, some of them didn't, but it was really fun because you had this laboratory, if you will, to try out different things. And so, yes, that's really where the bulk of my career was spent in
Mhm.
high school education.
And then you did your PhD, right?
I did it. I did what's called an EDD, so a doctorate in education, which is
Okay.
called a practical doctorate.
Hmm.
So not so much in the clouds, but real what they call action research.
Hmm.
And I actually did it on my dissertation was on the use of iPads in a high school setting. And
Ah,
so we had taken our school to a one-to-one. So we first started with iPod touches, and then we went all iPad, and it was very hard. And so I thought, my doctoral research probably should come on the heels of that. And we learned a lot. And looking back, I would certainly do some things differently, but that's where my interests were and still are.
I'm so envious. You did a doctorate on the iPads. Like this is like
I
music
did.
to my ears.
Well, it was really fascinating because you have kids, I have kids. The distraction factor is really significant,
Right.
and
Yeah.
not surprising. And then I honed in specifically on the skill of collaboration and
Mhm.
whether or not everyone having an iPad would contribute to students collaborating on a deep level or not have any causality to that reality. And so it was, again, really fascinating. I was really glad when it's over. They say, what's a good dissertation? One that's done. And
Yes.
so when I finished it on time, I said, I don't plan to read that anytime soon, but I'm glad it's done.
Anyway, congratulations on that. So now you're in the nonprofit environment, and what is it exactly that you do, if you can tell everyone?
Sure. Yeah. My role is executive director of an organization of professionals who work on college campuses here in the United States.
Mhm.
So our organization is called the Catholic Campus Ministry Association. And so wherever you're watching this from, you've probably seen some of these top basketball or football programs from the United States on TV. Almost all of them are members of our organization. And so we provide professional development to those members, whether it's through in-person events, online courses, online webinars, Zoom events, symposiums, you name it.
Ah,
And
okay.
so, yeah, it's very exciting. It's an incredible group of people to serve. They're just very entrepreneurial, very much willing to try new things. And, we're recording this in December of 2021. And so here in the States, we're slowly coming out of pandemic, but the last 2 years have been super difficult, but also just a tremendous time of innovation. And so it's been just really a privilege to be on the same boat, if you will, with the people we're serving, because we've been trying new things, they've been trying new things, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and now you're organizing this productivity summit, nonprofit productivity. So can you just, tell us more about this? Because it's, I don't think it's exactly what your company, I mean, what your nonprofit is doing, but I think they kind of approve, right?
I'm very fortunate because I report to a board,
Hmm.
and I told them early on that I really felt drawn to, in my free time, help other nonprofits, some similar to ours, some very different. Here in the States, we have over 1 million nonprofits, and
Wow.
these can range from hospitals to soup kitchens to, pet shelters. I mean, you name it, it's really impressive. And so I just felt like that would be a really interesting space to share what I've learned. I don't know everything, obviously, but
Mm.
I've been doing this for long enough that I could start to share some things that I've learned specific to productivity. Because, like, again, we talked in the beginning, I just see so many nonprofit leaders, executive directors specifically, they're working harder they're chasing their tails, the work never finishes, and they can be left feeling very demoralized, exhausted, and then eventually burn out and leave their nonprofits. And so that seems to me like kind of a shame, that you could have a really dedicated, good person who, just because they haven't figured out some of the productivity stuff, their nonprofit work could suffer. And so if we could just help them along the way with the productivity strategies and the tips and tricks and all that and the mindset, it could actually help prolong their career and then help their nonprofits. So I started a consultancy called Nonprofit Productive, and it's dedicated just to nonprofit leaders, highly motivated nonprofit leaders. And so we invited you to be a speaker at this event called the Nonprofit Productivity Summit, which is happening. And it's brought some of the greatest minds and thinkers from the productivity space, software specifically, as well as some really incredibly talented nonprofit leaders. And we just thought, let's get them together and look at different things such as task-based communication, automation, fundraising, remote teams, virtual work, stuff like that. So it's been really fun, and I'm really edified by the response. It's been fairly overwhelming, and so I'm excited to give back.
No, so it's so cool. I mean, and you managed to really. So thanks for inviting me and to participate, and also like some of my really close friends and close other productivity geeks out there. So, and of course with our guru David Allen is also there. So where can people go and see it?
Sure. So they can still sign up over at nonprofitproductive.com and just click on Productivity Summit at the top. It's completely free. It's virtual. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to learn and, kick back on an afternoon, watch a couple of videos, take some notes. Our interview with you is one of my favorites because you just have such incredible energy. And I think people can do well to learn a little bit more about asynchronous communication and task-based communication.
Yeah, thanks. So I really invite everyone to just check it out, especially that, in Nozbe, we preach Mighty Fridays. So on a Friday, you should do a weekly review and then spend time on your personal development. And why not watch all the videos from the Nonprofit Productive? So this is what I'm going to do this Friday, actually. So, so spoiler alert. And I think this is the best way to just remind everyone that there's always time to improve and to work on your personal development. And even if you are a productivity geek like both of us, we still keep on improving. We still, keep on finding new ideas and new ways to improve. And listening from guys over there that you managed to assemble, I think it's a great time spent and a great time invested, and it's not time wasted.
No, and I think too, it's a good way to model for our teams and our direct reports that we're still learning. I mean, I think we always look for people on our team who have a growth mindset. And, I've said before that the people who get fired are not usually the ones who are incompetent. They're the ones who can't grow anymore. And so I picked up my daughter from dance class last night, and I was listening and watching on YouTube one of the interviews. And she said, "Are you watching your own videos?" And I said, I am, because I love the guests and I want to learn from them. And I'm not going to sit down for 9 hours straight and listen to all of them. So I take them in little bites and pieces. Yep. So it's really fun. There's so much to learn, and we got to keep growing.
Yeah, that's, I've had that several times, like my daughter seeing me watch me talk, and it wasn't me, it was me talking to you or some other people and some other or my customers. Sometimes when I'm because I also record interviews with customers just for our own internal use, and then I re-listen them, because then I can understand their industry better. I can understand their point of view better, because when you're in the conversation, you're not capturing everything. You're just focused on making the conversation right. But then you can just take a seat back and just relax and just watch yourself not be as brilliant as you thought, but then listen to the other one.
I'm always critiquing things I say, or, oh, why didn't I ask a more pithy question or something like that?
Yeah, that's happened to me several times. The thing is that, when we are in this conversation, very often, like, we are not as fast. We are trying to kind of predict what next question is going to be, and we have some written down. But some people are great at this, but some aren't. So Mike, again, thanks so much for doing this. I want to conclude this conversation just to confirm that you are a Nozbe Teams user, actually,
Yes.
and you are a Nozbe Teams user not just because you like me, but because your team consciously chose our application. So if you could just, for 1 minute, tell everyone why you chose Nozbe Teams.
When I was younger, working in a school, I made the mistake of letting different reports choose their project manager, because I just thought, well, that would make sense. They would then buy into it and it's all good, right? The problem was then I had to learn 3 or 4 different project management tools, which was fun, but got tiring after a while. So I'm older and wiser now. And so we tried different project management tools for the first couple of years when I was with the organization I currently am, CCMA. And then we realized that we just need really one place where we can communicate, where we can share projects, where we can think in written form, where we can give each other feedback. So we tested a couple different things, and eventually we settled with Nozbe Teams. And it's been really fun to see the software mature and just get better and better. I think you guys shipped, I don't know, 30 or 40 different iterations of it last year. I mean, it's 40. Really impressive. Yeah. I mean, it's like, who does that, So that's really impressive. And it just, I know you, I know the company, and I trust the data security. I know the company is totally committed to improving the product. For us, it's simple. We have some members of our team who are very tech savvy and some who aren't as tech savvy. So to find one tool that actually is usable for all those is not easy. We did dabble in a couple of competitors, and they were just too much, too complicated, too many features. What our team needed was something simple, reliable, trustworthy, something that was fun and attractive and enjoyable to use. And so Nozbe Teams has really fit for us. It's met that sweet spot. It's reasonable. We're a nonprofit, and so the price is right. It's easy to add members. I just added somebody yesterday. It was no big deal. I think I went to the 5-person plan to 6. It was not a big deal, so that's nice because it's flexible for us. My favorite feature is probably the incoming tab, because that's just where I go. And so if somebody is tagging me, if somebody's delegating something to me, that's where I go. I don't usually look at the activity, because I think when I looked this morning, there are like 180 different things, happening. So, but I'm excited to test out the new filters. I'm excited to use the search more. I haven't used that as much, but I should, and I want to test that out more. It just gives us a place to park everything, and it works for us. So we don't want to be emailing within our team. We're not perfect at that, but we want to cut down on that. We want to cut down on interruptions during the day. And so I'll try anything that will help accomplish those 2 things. So for us, Nozbe Teams really fits that need that we have as a small team.
Thank you. That's a fantastic testimonial. Wow, I'm so happy because like when you do, like, as you know, when you do something a certain way, it's sometimes hard for people to explain to people that this is the way that you want things to do. But the moment that they capture it, that they understand that this is the way, and they start doing your way, it's glorious. It's fantastic.
And sometimes you have to maybe redirect, a team member if they're, messaging you or emailing you, say, you know what, why don't you just put this into Teams, and that way we'll have kind of a nice little track record of it. We can look back, and it's just easier. It's just easier, and it lets people focus on their work, and it's a common language. It's a common place. I know I have some dear friends and relatives who they don't have any project manager software, and I can't imagine working that way, because to me that would seem very frenetic and disjointed. Whereas for us, Nozbe Teams just gives us one place, one source of truth, where we can pull all of our work together, and at the end of the day, get our job done, which is really the thing. I mean, Nozbe Teams is a good tool, a really, really good tool that we enjoy using. But if it doesn't help us get our work done, then it's not a good tool, but for us it does. So no worries.
Good. Yeah, that's my kind of motivation every day, that I make a tool, I help make a tool that makes people and teams awesome and helps them achieve what they want to achieve. So, and it's not about my engagement of my stuff, it's about their engagement in their tasks and their projects. So, so Mike, thank you so much for this. Again, Mike St. Pierre, the host of Nonprofit Productive. And you can find out more in the link below in the description of this video, in the blog post. Just join the Nonprofit Productive Summit and listen to everyone else and me as well talk about productivity and how to get things done, how to be a better leader in this really hectic time.
Well, Michael, thanks to you and thanks to your team. We really appreciate it.